I do want to follow up on my colleague, Mr. Womack's questioning about the full budget. So you were saying we are not going to receive the full budget until after the reconciliation package is done, which at the earliest would be July 4th. Is that correct?
Correct. We will be forthcoming with additional information to fill out the deficit picture and all of the additional information at that time.
Well, I'm new to this. I'm new on appropriations. I'm just kind of learning this process, but this really puts us up against the wall. I mean, we're having our Milcon VA markup tomorrow without a full budget. We've got to get all 12 of these out of committee, and we've got to get these passed on the House floor. We've got to get a lot done before our August in-district work period. We don't need another CR, and we don't need a government shutdown. That will not be good for the president. It will not be good for Congress. It will not be good for America.
Let me clarify, Congressman.
Yes.
You have everything you need for all of your markups. You do not just have high-level discretionary proposals that we were forthcoming with nearly a month ago. You have the full budget as it pertains to the appropriations process, and you have all of the information that is needed to be able to write those bills, and particularly in the VA context where you're dealing with advanced appropriations.
Right.
You have that material. Congressional budget justifications and the appendix went up last week and are continuing to flow. Where there's only some work that remains is on the defense side, and we are pushing DOD as fast as we can to get their remaining information up to the Hill.
Thank you for your support of the One Big Beautiful Bill. Of course, we too appreciate that. You've said that, talking to critics, they've been relying on faulty CBO numbers for their criticism of the bill. Example, in 2017, the CBO was off with its projections of the TCJA by $1 trillion. What are the flaws in CBO scoring?
Well, other than the baselines that they use, which don't reflect or aren't comparable with how they treat spending. So CBO assumes that spending will continue. All of your appropriations bills are assumed not on an annual basis, which of course they are passed on, but they are assumed to continue with inflation over the life of the 10-year window. That's not the case with tax revenue. For the way that the law was written and the way that CBO operates is that they judge an expiration date to be something that causes it to look like a new cost to taxpayers. That's one, and then of course they've had just historically dynamic assumptions with regard to tax policy and other policy moves therein.
I want to talk a little bit about the rescission package that you sent over, $9.4 billion package. Secretary Rubio was sitting in that seat 2 weeks ago before NSRP subcommittee. There have been 5,341 USAID awards that have been terminated, unobligated savings of $27.7 billion, yet your rescission package only includes $9.3 billion, I believe, for state and foreign aid. Is that correct?
It's correct, yeah.
Are we going to see further rescission packages that will claw back this money?
Perhaps. We are very anxious to see the reception from a vote standpoint in the House and the Senate. We've had tremendous interactions with your committee, sitting down with the chairman, the subcommittee chairman, to make sure that the package, one of the reasons why it took a little bit, it was constructed a long time ago, was we were having the conversations with this committee to make it so that it can be passed next week.
Okay.
If that goes well, I'm less concerned about the House as I am in the Senate, and it's very important for it to pass. If it does, it'll be worth the effort, and we'll send up additional packages.
Last question. Part of the rescission package, the Global Health Program for $400 million, it says this proposal would eliminate only those programs that neither provide life-saving treatment nor support American interests. Does this include PEPFAR, any money that's funding PEPFAR whatsoever?
It does. It has a cut to PEPFAR, but not to life-saving treatment. And let me just walk you through
What about prevention, sir?
So the challenge we have in PEPFAR is that PEPFAR has been perceived as only life-saving treatment. But if you look, you've got $2.5 million for teaching young children how to make environmentally friendly reproductive health decisions. You have nearly $1 million for services for transgender people, sex workers, and their client and sexual networks in Nepal. You have $5.1 million to strengthen the resilience of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and queer global movements. So even in an area like PEPFAR, and I did see some of the reaction from the Senate as to us including PEPFAR, we believe that it needs to be on the table. We can find waste, fraud, and abuse there that the American people would not support, and it's one of the reasons why it's in the package, but it will not lead to life-saving treatment being denied. That has been a hallmark of all President Trump's budgetary policies with regard to PEPFAR, is if you are receiving care, you will continue to receive that care.
Chair, how much time do we actually have in this lightning round?
2 minutes.
One question, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, thank you. Let's start. For my ag state of Missouri, renewable fuel standards, renewable volume obligations rule has been at OMB since May 1st. When will this be sent back to the EPA to release publicly, sir?
We're working on it. We know it's a priority. It's part of an annual process that's very important.
Second question, a follow-up on PEPFAR. We've talked about it a little bit. PEPFAR since 2003 has saved about 26 million lives, mainly in Africa. Aside from the crazy woke programs, which I agree should be stripped, is there any other prevention program, not treatment, but prevention program listed in this rescission package which is not of a woke nature?
We believe that life-saving treatment, I understand that is in fact your question, but we are scaling down the program as it pertains to the types of organizations that are the examples of the waste, fraud, and abuse. The prevention itself is where an analytical look needs to be done, and it's one of the reasons why we have emphasized in successive budgets that we're going to protect life-saving treatment, but we want to scrutinize heavily those that are bringing people into the system in the nonprofit.
Do you see where I'm going with this, sir? I mean, there's life-saving treatment after you already have HIV, but there are prevention programs that PEPFAR does, which are not of the woke nature, which can prevent someone from getting HIV. Are those programs going to survive?
It is something that our budget will be very trim on because we believe that many of these nonprofits are not geared towards the viewpoints of the administration. And we're $37 trillion in debt.
I know.
Again, so at some point, the continent of Africa needs to absorb more of the burden of providing this health care. I agree with you.
In fact, I have a plan, a 5-year plan, to scale down our commitment from the U.S. to put that on the backs of those in Africa and those in charities and churches. This is a temporary program. It's not to be sustained forever by American taxpayers. Thank you, sir.